Hey friends, welcome to Revival Town Podcast. I'm Chuck Tate, that's Andy King, and joining us in the studio is Stu G, author, speaker, musician, lead guitarist, founding member of Delirious, and currently on tour with Michael W. Smith. Stu G, welcome to Revival Town.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks, Andy. It's so good to be here, and that's quite an introduction. I have to remember that.
That's great. You've been on the podcast before via
Yes.
Zoom, so it's really cool to have you in the studio.
It's cool, yeah. We left Nashville last night. We're in the middle of the Kingdom Come spring tour with Michael W. Smith, and it's good to be in Illinois.
Now, obviously, you've mentioned Michael right off the bat because you're on tour
Yes.
with him. How long is this tour? Is it?
This is a 22-date tour, spring tour, and we're doing some new songs. We've just recently been up in the Pacific Northwest, which is one of my favorite parts of the country, and so that was really fun. And it's like a 2-hour show and no intermission, and it kind of covers everything from his earlier career all the way through to 2001 when he released the Worship record, and then his stuff since then. So
Wow.
the guy's amazing. He keeps going, and he's got so much energy for creating new music, and really loves the Lord, and it's fun to be with him.
Yeah.
And 20 years ago, you would never have thought you would be on
No,
tour with Michael W. Smith
No.
because of what was happening with Delirious and
Yeah,
some of
that's
the
right.
things that were happening.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that. For obviously a lot of folks that may be tuning in and know Michael W. Smith and also know of Delirious. But why don't you take us back a bit to those early years of that band forming and really what God did with Delirious?
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I was like freelance guitar player, and I used to lead worship at a church in the Midlands of England, East Midlands, Kettering, and so I was touring. I had a chance to play with Kevin Prosh and with British worship leader Noel Richards, and in that kind of environment, and then I had bands as well, and we'd be at different events, and I met a young Martin Smith and Tim Jupp along the way, and they invited me down to an event that they'd just started in '92 called Cutting Edge. That was a youth worship event, and so it wasn't long before I moved with my family down to the South Coast to be a part of that. And an interesting point, like I wanted to be there so much that I actually had to go back to doing a proper job to be down there. So I was an electrician when I first left school, and so I kind of gave up being full-time in music just so I could be around that environment and be a part of the church down there.
Yeah.
And that was for a couple of years. I went back to being an electrician, and the Cutting Edge thing, those events grew exponentially over a couple of years to, from 70 children or 70 kids in a drama school hall. And, we were getting 1,300 or more every month in a year and a half or something. And so, and we ended up doing a open air event. We lived in a seaside town, and there was a big green in front of the beach, and we put on, we put stage in there, and had a Cutting Edge event there, and had 10,000 people show up.
Wow.
And during that time,
Now, were you still the electrician when that happened?
Yeah,
or had you
I
made that
was.
switch?
I was, yeah. The first time that we did the open air stuff, all the way through the Cutting Edge years, I was, self-employed electrician, and just part of the Cutting Edge band and what have you. But we were getting quite busy. So what would happen is that Martin was writing a bunch of songs, and every now and then we'd record songs and put out these sort of 5-track cassettes. And I don't really think we realized this, but what we were doing was starting a record label, and so that music was getting out through the country, and we'd be invited to go and do sort of citywide worship events, and it just kind of grew and grew to the point where we just got really busy. And then, famously or infamously, Martin had a road accident and was in hospital, and we were having discussions about, he would say, I feel like I've been given a second chance. Shall we give up our jobs and do this full time? And so to cut a long story short, that is what happened. And
Wow.
April the 1st, April Fool's Day, 1996, we went full time, and we started Delirious. And the name really came from the fact that we'd already started the record label and the publishing company. The publishing company was called Curious because people were like, "What is this?" And then the record label was called Furious, and they all had a question mark, right? Furious, and that was because we kept everything to ourselves. When labels had come to us and said, "Oh, we can help you. We'd love to, work with you," and we'd say stuff like, "So what will we make per CD?" And they would say, "Oh, 92 pence, whatever." And we're like, "Well, we're making cassettes and making £4 per cassette. Like, why would we do that?"
Yeah.
So they weren't angry, but we called it Furious Records because they were a bit flummoxed as to why.
That is great.
Flummoxed, that's a good English word.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Flummoxed.
Curious,
Yeah.
furious, and delirious.
Yeah, so we said Delirious, yeah, and that's how we got our name. We just wanted it to kind of rhyme with the Furious and Curious,
Love it.
So from that,
I have not heard that story before.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah.
Well, from that though, obviously, Live and in a Can
Yes.
came out, which is probably for me one of the best worship albums you guys did.
Thank you. Yeah. So what happened was we went full time, and then so Martin's background was as a sound engineer and producer. Tim owned the studio, and so the first thing we did was we bought a truck and to carry all our gear, but we also bought a recording desk, and Martin had a 24-track tape machine, and we bought a recording desk that stayed in the truck and a big kind of long multi-core cable, and we recorded every concert that we did for about a year,
Wow.
and that's what became Live and in the Can. So it was all live, and there were some really amazing moments. I talked about I played with Kevin Prosh. Kevin Prosh was a really prophetic musician and worship leader, and he that really inspired us. So our music was we weren't just playing songs, we were kind of creating moments for ourselves to express our worship. And so I think what captured on Live and in the Can was some of that kind of prophetic.
It was
moment.
like the stuff in between the songs, wasn't it? It was where are they going? What's happening? And I think at the time, worship really, no one was doing any of that. I mean, this was new. I mean, you talk about cutting edge. It really was.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we had no one telling us what we could do because we were our own label and our own kind of thing. And there was pluses and minuses to that, but I think what it let us do was explore the kind of things we were feeling, and we really wanted to take the music that we were getting inspired by and were our influences and use that to worship God, and so so that's kind of like where that came about. And then I remember when Martin wrote Did You Feel the Mountains Tremble, and that's the only song we did a whole cutting edge night. And what came out of that for us was, there's that line in it that says, "Open up the doors and let the music play." And so what we were encouraging the people that were coming to those events was, let's not keep everything we have to these four walls or the four walls of the church, but let it kind of explode and flow onto the streets and in our workplaces and what have you. And then, but that left us saying, well, what is our workplace, And so we felt like, every step along the way, we always had a bigger vision than what we were in, right? Than what we were experiencing. So it was like, for us, it was, oh, well, we'd love to hear our music on the radio, in the pop charts. We'd love to, see our records for sale in Virgin Megastores and HMVs, whatever was on the high street, and so the first thing that happened was Martin wrote a song called White Ribbon Day, and we kind of wrote that together, and then that was a peace song talking about inspired by a march for peace in Northern Ireland, like the Troubles were still going on at the time, right?
Yeah.
And so we wrote the song White Ribbon Day, and someone in a concert, good friend now, a guy called Simon Trundle, he said, he was Irish, and he said, that song needs to be a single, that needs to be released, and so that was like a little door that opened for us to release that song, and we released it as a single, and it got to number 41. Didn't quite make the top 40, so we were a bit sad. But it was also.
But that's the secular chart. We're not talking about Christian charts here. This is in the UK, up against Bono and U2 and all them boys. And that was at 41, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which is my number. I'm the 41 guy.
He wrote a book called 41 Will Come.
So that opened the door for us to kind of take what we had and try and be as good as U2, be as good as Muse, be as good as all these other bands that were out there, and guitar bands anyway, and that were kind of blowing up the charts. And we wanted to be alongside them. And so in our career as Delirious, we had 5 top 20s. In the UK charts, we had number 2 in Germany mainstream chart. We had we played Glastonbury Festival. We toured with Bon Jovi and a few other mainstream artists, and a big part of that actually is a guy called Tony Batoto. So Tony was running a label called Total Records in London, and he'd recently kind of become a Christian and felt like, I want to take what I've got and like use it for more of a godly thing. And so a mutual friend introduced us, and we got on like a house on fire, and we ended up like making Tony the 6th member of the band, like taking like the U2 model of Paul McGuinness and U2, and making him like a partner, and so he helped us forge that path. Now, when he was at Total Records, he is the guy that was responsible for releasing Right Said Fred and I'm Too Sexy. So we were like, so he was used to having massive hits,
Yeah.
So,
and I remember back then, so obviously, huge fan for years, but I always wanted you guys in Peoria. I was always traveling all over the States.
Yeah.
And we went to Cornerstone Fest and saw you guys, and that's where we really connected.
One of the best shows ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it was one of those things where how do we get you guys to Peoria, because we weren't a Chicago, you know what I mean? It was, and I remember, I don't know if I won't name names, but I called a certain agency that you guys were with.
Okay.
And they're like, yeah, they're not going to come to Peoria. They're not really into doing the church stuff. They want to go secular venues and all this. And I was like, well, okay. So I just wrote a letter to Tony, and he wrote back, and he's like, oh, we would love to come. The English connection would be great. We've got a tour coming up. It was with Matt Redman was with you guys. Let's try and make it happen. And so Tony contacted this guy in Nashville, and then I got a pretty nasty call from the guy in Nashville. But we made it happen because I knew what you were doing was something so new and fresh. And dare I say it, I think that there needs to be something like that now.
Right.
I think there's a freshness that you had then that we would love to see. I don't know.
And you guys kind of paved the way for the whole worship movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a different sound. It wasn't like what was going on. you could really appreciate the music, and then on top of that, you were singing about Jesus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was
yeah, totally. Yeah, I think that, we were literally trying to just do what we wanted to do, and all of the other stuff happened kind of by accident.
yeah,
Like in terms of being at the forefront of a new movement or whatever. That we weren't thinking about that,
Right, right.
And so I think every generation has a moment where the thing that's been happening has not necessarily become stale, but has just been doing the same thing for a while, and somewhere along the line, someone comes along and kind of breaks out of it, and so I love where we're at right now, but I feel you as well. Like it's good to you just want to hear that kind of fresh, authentic, new expression, and we all know that there's nothing new out of this under the sun, but I think what it is the heart of it, isn't it?
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
vision and the sort of prophetic imagination.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking for all the time, I think.
Yeah. So obviously, Delirious came to an end.
Yeah.
And that was how was that for you?
Oh, it's hard. We'd been going for 17 years, and including the cutting edge years, and so it was hard. But Martin had 6 kids, and Stu had already actually decided to leave the year previous, and so we had Martin came to us and said, "Hey, I'm really struggling. I want to be at home more." And long story short, we decided that the best thing to do would be to finish rather than like try and find a new singer, and and the heart of it all changed. So that was that, but it was a hard time, and so the last year, but you can't take the keys out of a semi truck going at 70 miles an hour and then it stops immediately. Do you know what I mean? So we had a final kind of year of touring, and
tour.
we'd just made our record Kingdom of Comfort, and which I'm very proud of, by the way.
Yeah.
And then so we toured that for another year, and whenever we were in America, I would tag another couple of days on and just like reconnect with people that I'd met over the years, and just try and see what the next season could look like, And it wasn't long before I hooked up with 2 amazing friends, Jason Ingram, Paul Mabry, and incredible songwriters and producers. And we started something called One Sonic Society, and I ended up with a publishing deal, and then in Nashville, and then I ended up having to come over like once a month often, and I was sleeping in people's spare rooms and on couches and what have you. And so one Easter of 2010, I brought the family over to Nashville, and we were looking like, do we get a base here? Do we rent an apartment or something? And while we were here, the volcano erupted in Iceland that stopped all of the transatlantic traffic for a week or so. And so we had to stay an extra week. And while we were here, we ended up buying a house. And then we moved to America in 2010.
Wow.
And that's how we got here.
So how did you go from what you were doing then to then being with Michael W. Smith?
So over the years, we had played the same kind of festivals or some of the same gigs with Michael. I remember actually we did an event at the Albert Hall in London, and with Michael, and it was great. So we were becoming friends, and then we were all part of something called Compassion Art, which was a songwriters retreat for 12 Christian music songwriters, and Michael was a part of that. and I got to write with him there and spend more time with him and others. And so we moved to America in September of 2010, and he reached out straight away and said, "Hey, my guitar player can't make this Europe tour, and wondered if you'd come and play." And that was the first gig I ever did in 2010 with Michael. Toured then, and then 2011 we did something called the Two Friends Tour, which was with him and Amy, and I was doing One Sonic Society at the time, so I couldn't jump in like full time with Michael at that time. But you know, a couple of years later, we recorded a record called Sovereign at his barn, actually in Franklin, Tennessee. And after that, he was like, "Hey, Stu, you know, why don't you come on all the time?" And so I'd done something with him every year since 2010.
Wow. And you talk about, I mean, Delirious had paved the way for that amount of time, but then stepping in with Michael, who has paved the way for years, and the catalogue of stuff you had to learn must have been pretty intense.
It was intense for a couple of years. It was intense in terms of, you know, you'd get a list of songs that you could that he would choose from for the set list, you know, and it was like 35 songs or something, you know, and across his catalogue. And some of those songs, I was talking with Chuck earlier, you know, some of those pop records that he was doing, he had a guitar player called Dan Huff in the studio. Dan Huff and Chris Rodriguez, and they were like beasts on the guitar. And so that stuff still kicks my butt every night. And I practice a lot. You know,
But you're a beast. You're a beast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
In a nice way. Because
go ahead.
Well, some of those riffs are legendary. You know when it's coming in.
Some of the solos, exactly.
Did you feel that pressure early on, or still?
Well, still. I mean, people want to hear what they know from listening to the records, you know. And Michael, his ears are tuned so fine. They're so fine tuned into what he wants to hear, you know. And so it's been hard work and great work. I feel like we should all be doing something that challenges us, you know, to get better. So
What's your favorite Smitty song to play?
I think it would be Secret Ambition.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's iconic.
Yeah.
There's as far as a big guitar solo in
exactly.
there.
Yeah.
A friend of mine is in the music video for Secret Ambition.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Back in Tulsa. I think Steve Ake Productions is the one who produced it. I could be wrong on that. I lived in Tulsa. My friend Monty Seaborn, he was a freelance cameraman.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think he's
Small world.
Yeah. Small world.
Small world. So obviously you've been on tour.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about this tour? Obviously there's like you mentioned, huge collection.
Yeah.
Is this more worship? Is it a bit of both? Is it?
It's definitely a bit of both. I mean, everything is worship, right? So, but I know what you mean. Like are the songs congregational?
Right.
Are they kind of vertical in that way? So yes, it's a bit of both. Typically, you know, the first half of the set or the first few songs would be more from his kind of CCM pop world, and then it kind of transitions a little bit through a little acoustic solo that he does, and then into, you know, songs like Draw Me Close and Above All, and then into some of the newer stuff like Waymaker and Surrounded, and you know, Agnus Dei is always in there, and Awesome God, and you know, it's beautiful, and so you know, Michael's never afraid of covering other songs as well if they fit a moment. So like we've been doing Graves in the Gardens a little bit, and that's really fun. It's really fun doing that because we get to, you know, kind of improvise a little bit. We one sound check, we were just messing around with that song and those changes, and and Michael was like, calling everyone to do a solo. It was completely improvised, and then we've put that in the show now.
Oh, wow. Very cool.
That's
so
cool.
I have to ask, is Friends on the list?
Yeah, Friends is on the list.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and so Michael's got a new record coming out in September, and so we do 3 or 4 songs that are brand new from that. There is released as singles so far. A song called Arms Around the Sun, Kingdom Come. This is called the Kingdom Come Tour. There's a song called Flood. There's a song called Hymn for Communion. They've all kind of like been released, and so we're doing those songs, and they're really fun.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is a full circle moment. So his new record, his new producer is a guy called Ted T, who produced Mesomorphos and Glow with us.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, so he came to England and worked on those records with us.
Wow. Now, you just mentioned too, when I talk to my boys, when we talk a lot about Delirious, because we grew up, even though they're living in LA and Phoenix now, we'll send group chats on, why can't we have music like this anymore? And but there's always this argument on what we feel between us the best album.
Okay,
right? I'm always a Glow guy.
Yeah.
Mesomorphos is Ethan, and also Kingdom of Comfort. He loved Kingdom of Comfort.
Yeah.
What would be your like that was the one that we nailed it. I know a lot of them, they're like babies, which is the best baby you had, but
I know. I mean, in terms of like the fondness of memories, it would be Mesomorphos and Glow, like that little era there, those 2 records. They probably encapsulate everything that Delirious was.
Yeah.
And so that's really good. And then, but what, World Service was a great record too. Yeah. And so World Service, Mission Bell, and Kingdom Comfort, like to me, they were always like a triplet.
Yeah.
There was, Grace, and then Mission, and then what are we doing with our lives type of thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So cool.
Well, not only are you with Michael doing this, but you also work with Compassion a bit.
Yeah.
Can you
Compassion
open that up?
Yeah, of course. So in 10 years ago, I was working on a project called the Beatitudes Project. It's really important to me. It's a real passion project, just taking everything in the Beatitudes, the announcements of Jesus at the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, and kind of expanding that, bringing it into the 21st century a little bit with stories and what have you. And that was a film and study materials and a book. And the relationship manager at Compassion, he really loved that project and could see how it lined up with what Compassion are doing. And we always used to have someone come and present on the tours for Compassion. And he suggested to management, Stu's done this, you've got Stu on the road. Why doesn't Stu do that? So I started to do the presenting for Compassion, a little bit of speaking on the Michael tours. And, I'm a guitar player, right? I wasn't really a public speaker. And so even though I'd, written a book and done all that stuff. And so, the first kind of tour we did, I didn't do that great, and then I went away and I did a communication masterclass. I mean, you'd never guess it, me talking here about but I did a communication masterclass with a guy called Vin Jang, an Australian Asian guy who is brilliant at teaching people communication, and just getting better and better. But I think the thing that I love about Compassion is, firstly, they really are directly confronting extreme poverty, one child at a time, and it really works. The second thing is that when you sponsor a child and they are in a program, every compassion program around the world is run through a local church. And so these children aren't just getting their physical needs met, but their spiritual needs as well.
Yeah.
And so thousands and thousands every year are coming to know Jesus because someone sponsored them. Second, the third thing I love about Compassion is how it's an invitation into making a difference. And I think that the problems in the world are so big for us. Whether it's extreme poverty, whether it's war, whether it's famine, whatever that thing is, it feels so unsurmountable to be able to make a difference. And I think that what Compassion do is they enable us, they invite people into, taking their worship and putting hands and feet on it. And just by sponsoring one child, you're actually participating in the work of God of renewing and restoring the world.
Yeah.
That's so good because, and you're right. I think as well, what I love about Compassion is the consistency.
Yes.
Of being there for the kids.
Yeah.
With what we do here at the Dream Center.
Yes.
We know that when we have 100, 120 kids coming in every day from all these different schools, it's the consistency that helps overcome the poverty side of things that they may be seeing or feeling at home.
Yes.
And then when you bring alongside people that can mentor, tutor, show them how to do carpentry or roast coffee, or you've now not only got the consistency of a program, but then the consistency of a person.
Yeah.
And it's so needed to help break some of these cycles.
Yeah.
And Compassion does that. I mean, we've had Compassion kids that we've sponsored, and you see it. You know what I mean? Like for us, it was starting young. When our kids were young, we would have a Compassion kit, and then all the way through till they left high school. And the consistency of that is important.
It is. Yeah.
There's a discipleship element that is not included in a lot of programs.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. They're very clear on their mission, which is to release children from poverty in Jesus' name.
Yeah, love it.
It's great. It's great. Well, you talked a little bit about Michael's songs and obviously Delirious' songs, but you have stepped into the studio as well recently and released a few. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah. So after the pandemic, that wasn't an easy time for us touring musicians. We lost a lot of income and all that kind of stuff. And so, for me, I in conversation with a lot of people, it was like, why don't I, some of the songs that have been really important to me over the years, I've been involved in a lot of songs, from Delirious to, other things that I've written on and stuff like that. And why don't I, reimagine them and, just put some music out there, like just remind myself that what my first love is, which is, making music and releasing music. And so I started like the first, I've called it Going Deeper, which is a real throwback to Delirious. But, the first one I released was Beautiful Sun, which was a song that I wrote on Mesomorphosis. And then we did Roller Coaster, which was another one. And then I did a Christmas thing. And then I released History Maker with Josh Baldwin. Yeah. So Josh, who I think has got one of the best voices in worship music right now. And he was on Instagram. He was kind of doing little covers, just minute versions of songs. And he did this one of History Maker. And I was like, we have to record a full version of that. So him and he's a Bethel music artist. They were up for that collaboration. And so we did that. We recorded it. It's very simple. It's just his voice, 2 acoustic guitars and a string quartet, and it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it's when it came out, I sent it to Chuck. I was like, play it loud because this is going to get you at night.
I listened to it again this morning.
It's beautiful. And so I've got some really exciting ones in the pipeline that I don't want to talk about right now.
Okay.
We've got one actually coming out next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So you won't be disappointed.
That's great.
So yeah. So there would be perfect timing when this is released.
Yeah, next Monday
Yeah.
is when this is released. So right on time, Stu. That's great. That's great.
What date is that?
Monday the
17th or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, yeah.
18th. Yeah.
Chuck's
Okay, great.
my secretary. Is checking right now.
Monday is the 18th.
18th.
So does it come out on the 22nd?
22nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We'll all be looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not only what you've been doing. There was this huge collaboration called House of Worship.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So Tony, my manager. So Tony Pitoto, who was the Delirious manager, is still my manager, right? So we work together on all of the stuff that I do, and he was involved in the distribution or conversations around distribution for this thing called House of Worship, and the vision behind that was to take artists and the songs that were inspiring and made a real difference in the worship scene in the 80s and 90s, and have those original artists there, and also like some of the more modern current worship artists, people like Cody and Carrie and Chris Brown from Elevation, and Pat Barrett, and and having doing collaborations of those old songs but with fresh voices and a fresh vision. Paul Mabry was a musical producer, and it was quite a vision. So there's a lot of content out there right now.
How was that for you? Obviously, you were in the band yourself, Paul Mabry, who also is one of the best drummers out there, period.
Yeah.
And you're in a room with all these songs that when Delirious was really rolling, these songs were also really rolling, right? Here I Am to Worship, Shout to the Lord.
Yeah.
What was it like being in the room playing these songs, but with a freshness?
Yeah. So it was, for a start, all of those people are my friends. All of the artists are friends. And so that was really nice, like just to all be together in the same place. And, it was hard to not just keep talking all the time and catching up and actually getting the work done. But
Martin was there as well.
Martin was there. Yeah, he did I Could See Villa Forever with Josh Baldwin. But it was kind of nostalgic, and at the same time remembering, these are actually really good songs. They kind of made a difference, and they still mean a lot today.
Because don't you find that churches, and this isn't just now, forever, they're always looking for the new song.
Mm-hmm.
But just like what you said, some of these old songs are classics.
Absolutely. It's like, we can take that even further and talk about hymns. And,
right.
Songs that have been around for centuries are still really important and beautiful. The language is beautiful and the poetry. And so, we need all of it. If I was like speaking to a worship team, though, I would talk about, what songs do your church need to sing, and because everyone's different, and we're not trying to be Bethel or Hillsong or Elevation. That's not the aim. With in any worship team, it's like, what do we need to sing? What do we how can we write a song that encapsulates the vision of our leaders, where our church is going, what's happening with us right now? And that way you can make it really personal, because there might be a family that's really struggled with something, and that kind of stuff should be on our minds when we're writing. And also, what are the pastors preaching about?
Yeah.
Because that's a John and Charles Wesley thing, right? So John Wesley would preach, Charles Wesley would write a song about it.
Yeah.
And that's what people remember. It just helps people remember, that moment in time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well,
Great stuff.
one moment in time that happened last year that was, I think, unique for yourself and for others who were on stage was at Big Church Festival.
Yes.
Martin did a Martin Smith and Friends,
Yeah.
and you were able to join him on stage.
Yeah.
We were watching it live on
yeah,
God TV.
TV. Yeah.
And what was that like? Because it's not just like a small little venue. Like this
No.
is
Massive.
the festival that Tim,
Yeah.
who was with Delirious, has set up.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that whole experience and getting on stage with Martin again
Yes.
in a crowd.
Yeah. I mean, it's like sitting in your favorite comfy chair. Martin and I haven't stopped working together, so I recorded with him and wrote with him for his Joy album, and we recorded that down at Real World, Peter Gabriel Studios, which is incredible.
Wow.
And then, every now and then, when he's in America, we'll like do a conference or do a worship night together. And so, we're still close. And, to be able to do that in front of the British audience was really lovely. Like, I mean, it feels so natural and at home, like I said, that, and, it's fun walking out, playing the Rain Down riff and seeing people going nuts. And I loved it. I loved it. It was brilliant. And, that is a great event, and Tim's done great in terms of, how big that's got. I think there was 25,000 people there or something.
Wow,
So,
crazy.
in the UK, which is phenomenal. And it's just an amazing location. Country house called Wiston House, South Downs. Just beautiful. So, it was fantastic. And, I'm in touch with Martin a lot, and we talk a lot, and we play together whenever we can. And, it's ongoing.
Well, and the reunion rumors started jumping because Oasis were doing their thing at the same time.
I know. It feels like a good time, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, I think, who knows? Martin and I are close, and it's likely that we'll do more together.
Yeah. Good.
All right.
Good. Stay tuned, everyone.
Yes.
Well, Stu, you talked a little bit about your work with Compassion, and obviously here at the Dream Center where we're recording this,
Yes.
and the importance of worship in those worlds colliding as well. Would you lead us in prayer, just for those that may be listening, that may be on a worship team, maybe doing certain things that what they do on a Sunday matters outside the church as far as outreach towards people. Could you just pray into that a little bit for us?
Yeah, Lord, thank you for this conversation. Thank you that our conversations are like prayers and that you hear every word. And so, God, I pray that you would fill us all, everyone that is watching this or listening to this, that you would draw near, come close, that we would hear your voice. Everyone has a calling, and I pray that you would make that clearer and clearer for people as they go along, Lord, and that you could inspire us to take our worship and not just use our voices, but use our whole life outside of the walls of the church, and that you would go before us, and that you would open doors, and that somehow we can join you in the work that you're doing, and see your kingdom come on this earth. And so, Lord, help us realize that it's not all on our shoulders, but that you're with us to help. And if we can make a difference in one life, Lord, that is enough, and that's what you're calling us to do. So thank you, God, for this conversation, everyone that's watching, and we ask that in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you, Stu.
Thank you, Stu. I know so many are going to go back and get their Delirious albums out and fire them up again after the conversation and some of these songs, and also check into some of the new stuff that you're doing. Anything else that you're working on, or is the tour at the minute the main thing, and obviously with the songs you're doing?
So touring with Michael, speaking for Compassion, and releasing the Going Deeper stuff, that is really keeping me busy. I do have a pedal called the Kilt pedal.
Oh, my son has it
with JHS.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Wow.
Josh Scott is who owns JHS pedals is incredible, and what a brain! He is. I mean, I'd call him a genius, but and so we released the first Kilt pedal in 2015, and it's still selling. We've gone through 3 different versions now. We've got the latest version is the Kilt 10, which came out on the anniversary of the 10-year anniversary of the Kilt, and so grateful for that. So I do that as well,
Yeah.
and write songs occasionally with people. So
It's amazing how they can take a pedal and get the sound. It changes everything to your sound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I know this might be a bit geeky, but how did that come about, and how do they go about doing that?
So Delirious was on tour in America. I can't remember the city. And we went into a music store, and there was these little round silver pedals called the Expandora, and we tried them out in the store, and I ended up getting one. Loved the sound of it. Very versatile, had 3 different gain settings on it, and bought a couple. I think Martin and I got one each, and then we went back home. I loved it so much, we ended up getting another couple, and that sound of that pedal was really prominent on our Mesomorphosis record, and so over the years, like Delirious had finished. I was living in Nashville. I met Josh Scott from JHS at an amp and pedal expo, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to collaborate on a pedal?" And I said, "Hey, I don't think the Expandora is being made anymore. Can we make a new version of that?" And that's how it came about.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So they did all the R&D. He did all the heavy lifting of like what it should sound like. And
wow. Well, we are going to do the big 3.
Big 3.
These are 3 questions that may not have had anything to do with what we've talked about. They may do as well.
Yeah. Right.
You want me to start?
Yeah. Go ahead, Andy.
All right. 3 questions that everyone's asking, Stu.
Okay.
Favorite golf course you've ever played?
I would have to say TPC Sawgrass
Oh,
in Ponte Vedra Beach,
All right.
Jacksonville, Florida.
now
Okay.
have you played that a lot, or just
No,
once?
once.
or-
I just played it once, and it was a long time ago, and I'd love to play it again because I'd love to get a better score.
All right, Chuck.
All right, Stu. My question is, if you could have a writing session with somebody that you've never worked with before, who would that be?
The name that came into my brain as soon as you said that, I mean, and this is like impossible, but it's Nick Cave.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Nick Cave. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That was going to be one of my questions, but that's all right. That's
Sorry,
right.
mate.
If there was any band that you could open for, you just still with Delirious or with Michael W. Smith, but there's a band that you would want to be around and open for, who would that be?
I think it'd be you two.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, good show. I just saw their new video that they just did in Mexico, and there's talk of a world tour next year. And my boys were texting me. We went to see them at the Sphere in Vegas, and they texted me and they're like, "Dad, next year we might be going somewhere." So
that's great.
really
Love
good.
it.
So, well, Stu, we normally finish the podcast with a thing called Tate and his mates.
Okay.
And this we've even got a bit of special music. You may notice this. A little bit of London Calling. So I have to throw an English word, phrase, or
Rhyming Cockney slang.
there you go, rhyming Cockney slang at Chuck, and he's got to try and guess it. Now, we've been doing this for 5 years or so, so I've been digging up these
Learned
words.
all kinds of words.
All kinds of words. But
And I'm
today,
still a plonker.
oh, yeah. But having you on, and you said something earlier.
Yes. I can't remember what I said.
That's okay. You'll know exactly, right? You said something earlier that sparked something for me.
Okay.
So, Chuck, what is a Sparky?
What is a Sparky?
Yeah. You know what this is, right? Yeah.
All right, can you use it in a sentence?
How would you use it in a sentence, Stu? Without giving it away.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay. It's dark in here. I better get the Sparky.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Okay. Sparky. I'm gonna go with light. No. Okay. All right.
I do this every week. I'm here for hours.
Yeah. Sometimes I get them. Sometimes I don't.
Sparky. Here's another one.
Give a clue.
Yeah, give him a clue. Yeah.
It's a person.
Sparky's a person.
Yeah.
I'm more confused now.
All right.
Yeah.
Electrician.
Oh, how in the world did I not get that? We need to get a Sparky in here. Yeah, I get it now.
Get it?
All right.
Yeah. So
Yes, yeah.
So
All right.
Stu was a Sparky. I'm glad you brought that up earlier because
We had to get a Sparky in the church. We just installed a new LED video wall.
Oh, yeah.
So we had to add several new outlets and
Nice.
add some extra power
That's
to
good.
be able to power the wall. So yeah, we needed a Sparky.
Look
Yeah.
at that. Hey, you
Yeah,
even
you
used
were,
it.
that's yeah.
And also, I always challenge him to try and use some of these words in the next weekend's message.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so,
I'll try to work that
So
in.
work that in. Sparky.
I was just stuck on Al Gordon's book Spark, so I was, Sparky. All right.
Well, Stu, thank you so much for
Appreciate
coming
it.
on to
Thank you.
Revival Town today.
That's
This
so
has been-
good.
You are a history maker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you.
Third time, right, on Revival Town.
Yeah, I believe
But
so.
first in
Yeah.
first time in
First in
studio.
person.
Yeah, because we talked about Words on the Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Words on the
Yeah.
Hill and the Beatitudes Project in the past. So,
Very
yeah,
good.
yeah.
So
Great
thanks
to have you back in the house.
It's good to be here. Can't wait for the concert tonight.
Yeah. Thank you,
It'll be
Stu.
good.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Revival Town Podcast. Make sure you're following us on social media and remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, head on over to revivaltownpodcast.com.